She stood in the great arena. The lights of the galaxy above her head. Thousands of voices rose like thunder around her. All of them chanting her name. All of them believing she was the strongest being Alavesh had defeated. Janshi had broken machines, had crushed warriors from 100 worlds, and no one had ever stood after facing Hirsch, looked at the crowd, and raised her hand. People screamed louder. Her pride was her crown, her strength was her weapon. Her heart had never known fear in her mind. No one could ever defeat her. Then the voice of the announcer shook the sky. Today, a new challenger has arrived. Today, a human has stepped forward. Crowd laughed and cheered at the same time. A human, they said. Humans are weak. Humans break easily. Humans do not belong in the arena. Nash laughed as well. Her eyes glowed with fire. She wanted to humiliate this challenger. She wanted to show the galaxy again that she was the queen of strength. And the gates opened. A figure walked out slowly. The sound of his boots echoed against the stone floor. The human was calm, his eyes steady, his body not huge but filled with a silent power. Her did not smile, did not fear, only walked until he stood in front of her. The crowd went silent for a moment. He could feel something strange in the air. Stepped closer to him, her voice like thunder. You dare to stand before Meadow? You not know who I am? Me am the storm that never breaks. I am the mountain that never falls. Human spoke softly. I know who you are. Reigned. I know why I am here. I am here because you believe strength is only in your muscles, but I will show you strength that you have never seen. The crowd gasped at his words, roared with laughter. Strength from a human you will break in one strike. She raised her arm high. The air shook with her energy. She wanted to crush him before the first minute. Instead, the human stood still, his eyes never moving. The announcer raised his hand. The battle begins. The sound of drums rolled like thunder across the arena. Nash struck first. The ground split under her power. Dust rose like a storm. The crowd screamed. But when the dust cleared, the human still stood, his body unbroken, his face calm. She narrowed her eyes. This cannot be, she thought. No one had ever stood after that strike. Human took one step forward, his voice steady as that. All the crowd gasped again. Her pride burned. She rushed at him with speed faster than lightning. Her fists stormed. Arena shook with every blow, but again he endured. His arms blocked, his feet did not fall, and his eyes still burned with calm. For the crowd could not believe it. For the first time she felt a small drop of doubt. Screamed louder, and her power grew brighter. The human whispered so quietly, but the whole arena felt his word. Strength is not only in the body. Strength lives in the will. Strength lives in the heart. Struck again and again, but each time he rose. Each time he refused to fall. The crowd began to change. Some voices started to cheer for the human. Some eyes began to wonder if this human was truly weak. The alien warrior felt her chest tighten with anger. She could not allow this. He must destroy him here and no. But inside, a shadow of fear touched her soul. For the first time in her life, she wondered, what if she was not the strongest? The human stepped forward again, closer. Noah's eyes locked on hers. This battle is not over yet, he said. Real fight begins now. The drums of the arena thundered again. The crowd roared, and the storm of destiny prepared to risk there. Inside, the arena burned with tension. The alien warrior stood tall, her chest glowing with power. The human stood calm, his body straight, his eyes unbroken. The crowd shouted louder, their voices mixed with fear and thrill. The announcer cried, the duel continues. She roared like a beast, and the ground shook under her feet. Her power burst like fire across the arena floor. She leapt forward, her fists brighter than the suns of a dying world. Each strike carried the weight of mountains. Each strike could break ships into dust, but the human blocked each one. His arms lifted, his legs steady, his will unshaken. The crowd gasped with every impact. Never before had anyone survived her storm. She grew furious, her pride bleeding. She screamed, "You cannot resist me. I am the strongest in the stars." The human answered softly, yet his words were heavy. Strength is not pride. Strength is not rage. Strength is to endure and still rise again. The people listened, and some began to whisper. Their hearts wondered if his words were true. She pushed harder, her body glowing with raw energy. The floor of the arena cracked beneath her power, But when the dust cleared, he was still standing, his arms bleeding, his breath heavy, yet his spirit unbroken. She felt anger twist inside her chest. "Why will you not fall?" she shouted. He looked at her, his eyes steady like stone. "Because I fight not for myself, but for something greater." The crowd leaned forward, their voices silent now. She attacked again, faster, stronger, her body a storm of light. The human moved different now, not only blocking but striking back. Each hit he placed was simple and direct, not wild, not furious, but precise like a blade. Her body shook from his counter strikes, her pride burned hotter than her power. She felt doubt again. The crowd began to cheer louder for the human. His will touched their hearts. They had never seen such courage. She refused to accept defeat. She called her ultimate strength. Her body expanded, her glow filled the sky above. The arena walls cracked under her power. The crowd shielded their eyes from the light. She screamed, "This is the end." Her hands came together, and she hurled her greatest attack, a blast that could shatter moons. The human braced, the ground trembled. The blast swallowed him in fire and dust. The crowd thought it was finished. They screamed, thinking he was gone. But then out of the smoke he walked, his body burned, his face scarred, his breath heavy. But his steps were steady, his eyes still alive with fire. The crowd exploded in cries of disbelief. She froze, her mouth open, her heart racing. Never had anyone survived this. He stood before her, closer. Now he whispered, "You cannot break. And me, strength is not to destroy, but to endure. Strength is not only in power, but in will." His words pierced her pride sharper than any blade. For the first time her knees shook. The crowd began to chant his name. Human, human, human. She felt her power falter, her pride trembling. She tried to strike again, but her fist was slower. Now he caught her arm, his grip strong, his gaze like steel. Their eyes locked, and she felt a chill run through her soul. "Why does he not fall?" she thought. "Why do I feel fear before this human?" He spoke again, his voice steady. "Your power is great, but your heart is empty. You fight to prove you are the strongest. I fight because I must protect, and that is why you cannot defeat me." The arena grew silent again. The words struck deep into every ear. The alien warrior stepped back for the first time in her life, her chest heavy, her breath broken. She looked at him and felt the crack in her pride grow larger. He did not strike her now. He only stood waiting, as if showing her that the fight was not only about strength. Crowd roared again, the sound like a wave of the ocean. They could feel the balance of the duel shifting. She knew the next clash would decide everything. She gathered what remained of her power, her glow still bright, but her heart uncertain. He stood tall, his body broken, yet his spirit brighter than fire. The announcer raised his voice. "The duel is not over. The final storm is about to come." The arena trembled under the weight of destiny. The arena was shaking like the heart of a storm. Alien warrior stood glowing with fire around her body, but her glow was no longer steady. It flickered like a flame fighting against the wind. Her chest rose and fell heavy, her eyes filled with pride and doubt. Human stood across from her, his body broken, his arms bleeding, his breath sharp, yet his eyes did not fall. His will still burned brighter than the suns above. Crowd waited in silence. They felt that the final clash was closeth. Announcer raised his voice and cried, "The duel continue." She roared with anger and sorrow, her voice echoing across the galaxy. She said, "I will not be defeated by a humani, will not let my crown of strength be broken." She charged forward, her speed like lightning, her fists like Ferretti ground split with each step, her power rising like waves in a storm. Human stood still, watching her every move. Then he stepped aside with precision, his body moving like flowing water. Struck once, then again, each strike small but sharp like bladish. Her body shook with the hits. Her balance faltered, her rage grew heavier. The crowd gasped. They saw something new. They saw that the human was not only enduring, but also fighting back. She screamed louder, her fists flying faster, her glow blinding. But the human endured each blow. His arms raised, his feet steady, his heart refusing to fall. Spoke through the storm, his words calm and sharp. "You believe strength is to rule, but true strength is to rise after every fall. True strength is to stand when all else has broken. The crowd fell silent, hearing his words. Some felt tears in their eyes, some felt their hearts burning with his fury. The alien warrior felt the weight of his voice, tried to silence him with another blast. Their energy burst like a sun exploding. The arena shook, the walls cracked, the sky above thundered, but when the smoke cleared, the human was still standing, staggered, his knees weak, but his eyes did not bow. He looked at her again and spoke. I fight not because I am stronger than you. I fight because I must protect what is fragile. I fight because weakness teaches me how to rise. His voice touched the crowd like a song of fire and hope. The alien warrior felt something strange inside her chest, fear and respect mixed with her pride. She whispered, "This cannot be true." She tried to strike again, but her arms grew heavy. Her power was slipping away like sand through her fingers. The human stepped closer, his footsteps slow but steady. Each step shook her heart. Each step felt like a mountain pressing on her pride. The crowd began to chant again, "Human, human, human." Their voices rose like thunder. She fell to one knee, her chest heaving, her glow fading. Never before had she kneeled before an opponent. Her pride shattered like glass, lifted, her eyes filled with anger and sorrow. She said, "You should not have this strength. You are only human." Answered with a calm fire in his voice, "That is why I am strong, because I know fear, because I know pain, because I know how it feels to fall and rise again." The arena echoed with silence. His words cut deeper than any blade. Her hand shook, her body trembled. She remembered every time she had mocked the weak. She remembered every time she had called others small. No, she was the one on her knees before a humane crowd felt the weight of history in that moment. Strongest alien warrior, humbled by the will of a fragile man, she screamed one last time and forced her body to rise. She summoned all her power for a final strike. Ground cracked, the air burned, the arena walls trembled. She rushed toward him, her fists filled with her last storm. Human stood tall and steady, whispered, "I will not fall." Fear clash exploded like the birth of a star. Light blinded the crowd. The sound shattered the sky. When the dust cleared, the human still stood, his hand had caught her final strikes, fell back, her body empty. Her power gonish lay on the ground, staring at him with wide eyes. For the first time she felt small. For the first time she felt the truth. Crowd erupted in thunder. They shouted his name again and again. Human. Human. He looked down at her, not with cruelty, but with calm, did not strike her. Again only stood tall, his body broken, but his spirit untouched. She turned her head and closed her eyes, her heart filled with sorrow and awe. For the first time she believed she might not be the strongest. The arena roared louder than ever before. The duel was not yet finished, but the truth was already written. Human had shown a power beyond strength, and the galaxy would never forget this night. Arena was silent like the breath of the stars. The alien warrior lay on the cracked ground, her chest heavy, her glow fading. The human stood above her, his body torn, his skin burned, yet his eyes a liveth. Crowd was torn between fear and awe. Their voices hushed, their hearts racing. Announcer whispered, "The duel is not over." Yet she forced herself to rise, her body shaking, her pride screaming. Her legs trembled, her arms weak, but her spirit refused to collapse. She looked at him with eyes of fire and sorrow. She said, "I cannot fall before a humanity. Will not let my legacy be broken." Her answered calm and steady, his voice like stone, "Your legacy is built on fear, mine is built on will." She staggered forward, gathering what little power remained inside her chest. Her glow flickered like dying embers. Yet still she tried to shineth. Human did not move, he only watched her, his eyes steady, his heart unbroken. The crowd held their breath, waiting for the storm to rise again. She raised her arms. The air cracked with her last energy. Her voice roared across the sky. "This is my final strike." Her body launched forward, her speed still sharp, her fists filled with rage. Human stepped into her storm, his body steady, his spirit blazing. There clash shook the ground, the arena trembled, the walls crumbled, but this time it was her who fell back. Her body broken, her strength gonish, landed on her knees, her head bowed, her breath ragged. The crowd gasped. They had never seen her like this, the strongest warrior in the galaxy. Kneeling before a human, she looked up, her voice cracked with sorrow. Do you not fall? How can you still Rizzy walked closer, his steps slow, his shoulders heavy, but his fire Livy said, because I do not fight for pride, I fight because I fight because even the weakest deserves to be protected. As words rang across the arena, they struck every hearth. Crowd felt their souls stir. They began to cheer louder than before. Humanch clutched her chest, her heart torn between anger and respect. Their mind screamed, deny it, but her soul whispered truth. She saw him standing tall, though broken, his body shaken yet unbenched, saw that his strength was not born from power but from will, and she felt her pride shatter piece by piece. Tears filled her eyes, though she tried to hide them. She shouted again, trying to drown her sorrow, you are only human, you should not have this strength. Look down, his voice calm but fierce. That is why I am strong, because I know weakness beckos, I know pain beckos. I know how to stand when all else is lost. Their tears fell to the ground. Crowd watched with wide eyes. Never had she been broken like this, never had she been humbled before. All the galaxies tried to rise again, but her legs failed her. Her arms hung heavy, her glowgonish fell to her knees again and bowed her head. Human reached out his hand to her. Crowd gasped. They expected him to strike, but he did not, only offered her his hand. She stared at it, her pride fighting her heart for a long moment. The arena was silent, and slowly she lifted her hand and touched Hish, pulled her up, steadying her broken body. The crowd erupted in thunder, their voices like a wave across the stars stood before him, weak and trembling, her voice low, her pride shattered. I see it now, I see that you are stronger. Shook his head. No, I am not stronger, I am only human, but being human means to rise again and again, and that is what makes me unbroken. She closed her eyes, her chest heavy with shame and respect. Crowd shouted his name. The galaxy now knew his power. She turned to face the people, her voice trembling. Todi, I have been defeated today. A human has shown me the truth of strength. Crowd roared, their voices shaking the sky. She looked back at him, her eyes soft, her pride gonish. Whispered, you are not weak, you are fire, you are the storm that cannot be crushed. Human did not answer. He only stood tall. His silence was stronger than any word. Duel was over the truth written forever in the hearts of the people. Strongest alien warrior, broken not by power, but by will, and the human who stood unbroken became a symbol for all. Arena still echoed with the cries of the crowd. Their voices rose like thunder across the stars. They shouted the name of the human again and again. He stood tall, though his body was broken, his spirit unshaken. The alien warrior stood beside him. Her head lowered, her pride gone, her chest heavy, her heart trembling with a strange new truth. Never before had she felt such defeat. Never before had she felt such respect. She turned to him, her voice low yet strong enough for all to hear. You have shown me a power I did not know existed, a power greater than strength and speed. A power that comes from the will to rise. The human looked at her, his face calm, his eyes steady. He said, I am not greater than you, I am not above you, I am only human. And being human means I know fear and pain. But it also means I never stop standing. The crowd fell silent, listening to every word the alien warrior lifted her eyes to the people, her voice carried through the arena. Today, I believed I was the strongest in the galaxy, but today I learned the strongest is not the one who never falls. The strongest is the one who rises again and again. The people cheered. Their voices shook the ground. The human stood silent, his gaze on the stars above, his body a symbol, his spirit a fire that could not be broken. She stepped closer to him, her pride gone, her respect growing. She said, I mocked humans. I called them weak, but you have shown me that weakness is not the end. Weakness is the beginning of true strength. He nodded slowly, his silence stronger than words. The crowd began to chant again, human, human. Their voices rolled like waves of an endless ocean. The alien warrior placed her hand on her chest, her head bowed before the human. I give my respect to you, she said, for you have defeated not only my body, but my pride, for you have taught me what it means to be strong. The galaxy will remember this day. The human reached out his hand and lifted her up. He said, rise with me, let your strength be More than pride, let it be will and compassion. She felt his words touch her heart deeper than any blade. Tears filled her eyes, and she whispered yes. The crowd erupted again, the sound like thunder shaking the stars. The announcer raised his voice. For all the galaxy to hear, the duel is over. The victor is the human. The people screamed their joy, their disbelief. They had seen what no one had believed possible. A human had defeated the strongest warrior of the galaxy. The human stood. Not in triumph, but in quiet strength. His victory was not to destroy, but to show the truth. The alien warrior looked at him one last time. Her voice soft yet filled with promise. I will no longer fight to prove I am the strongest. I will fight to rise again with true strength. He gave a single nod, his eyes calm, his heart steady. The arena lights blazed. The people shouted his name into the sky. Human, human, human. The sound carried across the stars, across worlds, across the galaxy. His name, a flame burning in every soul. And so the story was sealed. The alien, once proud and unbroken, had been humbled and changed. The human, once mocked and doubted, had risen as a symbol of will. The galaxy had witnessed the truth, that strength is not in domination, that strength is not in pride, that strength is in the heart that rises again. The human turned his eyes to the horizon, his body scarred, his spirit unbroken. He did not seek crowns, he did not seek glory. He only walked forward step by step, and behind him, the galaxy walked with him. The alien warrior followed too. Her pride now tempered, her soul reshaped. She knew now that her greatest battle was not against him. Her greatest battle was against her own pride. And with each step she vowed to rise with true strength. The arena emptied, the stars watched in silence. The duel was over, but its fire would never fade, and the legend of the human who proved the strongest alien wrong would echo across time forever. The end.